Hello, welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you are watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got some breaking news coming out from the NATO summit here again. I've got more information. We're going to be talking about Volodymyr Zelenskyy. So he was here, as you can see in the video, speaking up on stage. I will show you guys the actual video here in just a little bit. But he was speaking to NATO leaders and letting them know that they need to be able to strike inside of Russian territory. And he said it's absolutely crazy that they cannot strike back after they just got hit the other day in Kiev. We did a whole report on that, the Okhmadit Children's Hospital that got hit by Russian missiles, apparently. So Zelenskyy is tired of this. He wants to be able to strike these airfields and go after these fighter bombers, or these aircraft, all these warplanes that are just sitting on the runways in Russian airfields that are not too far away from the Ukrainian border. And they can't go after these airfields because they've got restrictions on all these weapons that are being given to Ukraine right now. So we do know, I did a report just yesterday that the UK's new Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, he came out and announced that it was okay for Ukraine to use the British Storm Shadow missiles to strike targets inside of Russian territory, wherever they want to strike at. But the big one here is the US, okay? If the US can allow Ukraine to strike inside of Russian territory wherever they need to, well, then they can start using these ATACMS missiles, which are much more powerful and more devastating. They could use these to strike the Russian airfields and go after critical targets, military targets, to destroy these warplanes that are attacking their country, okay? Because all these missiles, these guided aerial bombs, these glide bombs that are landing all over their territory, everywhere, all over their country, they're very devastating, okay? Especially the glide bombs. And Ukraine needs to be able to put a stop to that, and they can't do that without striking Russian territory much deeper than they're allowed to right now. So Volodymyr Zelenskyy is really trying to push for this. He's talking about this here at this conference, and we'll go over that here in just a moment. But first, let me show you this here. I've got this report on Reuters real quick. Ukraine urges NATO to lift restrictions on targeting Russia. China denounces criticism. And it says here, Ukraine on Thursday urged NATO allies to lift restrictions on its use of long-range weapons against targets in Russia, saying that would be a game changer in its war with Moscow, while China slammed NATO criticism of its support for Russia as biased and malicious. NATO members issued a declaration in support of Ukraine at a summit in Washington on Wednesday, promising additional aid and pledging to back its irreversible path to NATO membership. At a joint news conference with NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg before meeting with the 32 NATO states on Thursday, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy called on allies to preserve their unified support of Ukraine and said new aid had to be delivered quickly. If we want to win, if we want to prevail, to save our country and defend it, we need to lift all the limitations, he said. So that's what Volodymyr Zelenskyy said, that, NATO needs to be able to lift all these limitations on attacks inside of Russia. And we know that the Biden administration is obviously very worried about this. Okay, this could definitely spark a major world war if Zelenskyy gets the ability to be able to do this and start striking inside of Russian territory, because that means that U.S.-made weapons, which is enemy number one to Russia, is now striking inside of Russian territory. And these are U.S. weapons flying into there, not Ukrainian drones or Ukrainian Neptune missiles. Okay, these would be actual ATACMS most likely, and Russia would not be okay with that. Okay, we could definitely have a major war break out because of this. So the Biden administration is worried about that, and they're trying to tiptoe their way into this and not really allow Ukraine to do so. They're allowing them to defend their country in terms of attacks coming into their country, but preventing the attacks before they happen, they're not really allowing them to do that by going inside of Russia. So it says here, U.S. President Joe Biden told Zelenskyy ahead of an earlier bilateral meeting, "We will stay with you, period." Zelensky's cabinet chief, Andriy Yermak, told a public forum Russia had no restrictions on its use of weapons, and it would be a real game changer if Ukrainians' allies could lift all limits on the use of those they supply to Ukraine. So they say this would be a major game changer. You guys let me know what you think down below. Do you think this would be a major game changer if Ukraine could use, let's say, U.S. ATACMS to start striking Russian airfields or military targets inside of Russia? In my opinion, I think it would help them. I don't know if it would really be a game changer. But it could definitely force these warplanes that are sitting on these airfields not too far away from the Russian border with Ukraine. It could definitely force them to go much further back, and we talked about this the other day. I had a video clip from Volodymyr Zelenskyy who's being interviewed. He was talking about these glide bombs that are flying into his country, hundreds and if not thousands every week. And these are very devastating bombs. And he was telling the interviewer that they need to be able to go after these airfields. That way they can push the bombers further back to much deeper airfields inside of Russia, which will make it difficult for them to fly all the way to the Russian and Ukraine border, launch these attacks with these guided aerial bombs. So it'll kind of push them to having to use more missiles versus these guided bombs. And Russia's only got so many of these, so it could definitely tip the tide of the war in that aspect potentially. But let me know what you think down below. NATO members have taken different approaches to how Ukraine can use weapons they donate. Some have made clear Kiev can use them to strike targets deep inside Russia, while the United States has taken a narrower approach, allowing its weapons to be used only just inside Russia's border against targets supporting Russian military operations in Ukraine. So there's more information here talking about China and stuff like that. If you guys want to check it out, I'll cite it down below for you. But I want to get this this video pulled up here for you now, and we can take a look at this. Let's go ahead and check this out. So this is on United 24 Media on X, okay? They posted this. It says, Zelenskyy, if they attacked us and killed our children in the hospital, that is a crazy question why we can't answer and attack this person. This military base where these guided bombs from jets or missiles came from targeted us and killed our children. Okay, so this is him speaking at the NATO conference today, asking NATO leaders to lift all restrictions on U.S. supplied weapons or any NATO weapons that are provided to them. Take a look.
Of course, if we want to win, if we want to prevail, if we want to save our country and to defend it, we need to lift all the limitations. I spoke about it with partners, with UK leader, with United States President, with Secretary, all of them. And I will raise up this topic with very concrete facts. We understand where they stay. We understand from what military base they attack us. And if they attacked us and killed our children in the hospital, that is crazy question why we can't answer and attack this, especially this person, this military base where from these guided bombs from jets or missile came, targeted us, killed our children.
So what do you guys think about that? Let me know what you think down below in regards to this. Do you think that Ukraine should be able to strike inside of Russian territory, or do you think they should not be able to? I mean, imagine if you were Volodymyr Zelenskyy, or maybe just the president of Ukraine, for example. If you cared about your country and you want your country to survive and you want your country to win this war, when you're getting support from major countries around the world, and now you're up here speaking in front of all these leaders, and they hold the ball in your court, right? You don't have control over that ball. They hold your ball in the court. So you can't strike inside of Russian territory unless NATO says yes, you can do so. So how would you feel, if this was your country coming under attack and you were the leader? You got to put yourself in his shoes for a minute. I definitely see where he's coming from, but it's a very controversial topic, okay? Some people think that they should not do this, just defend inside their country, but at the same time, Ukraine does need to be able to defend themselves, okay? And in order for them to prevent many of these attacks, they may need to do this, okay? They may need to go after the Russian airfields that are launching these attacks on their territory. And at the bare minimum, it could at least help a lot with the attacks that are happening inside of their country. Yes, they are getting lots of air defense systems here very soon, but air defense can only go so far, okay? Especially when these guided aerial bombs that are being used are very difficult for air defense systems to shoot down because these things don't emit any heat signature, okay? And they're very hard to detect, and many air defense systems can't even shoot them down. So how do they prevent 800 plus attacks in a week of guided aerial bombs flying into their territory without taking out these Russian airfields, or at least trying to push Russia to move their bombers much further away from the Russian border? I think it would definitely help. But regardless, I'm sure Ukraine's tired of being pummeled here. Okay, their whole country has just been completely devastated, and a good majority of it is destroyed. Okay, I've showed lots of video footage, even like of Chasiv Yar and Vovchansk and all these areas, especially on eastern side of Ukraine, just completely demolished. So I'm sure at this point, 3 years into this war, I'm sure Volodymyr Zelenskyy is tired of this. Okay, he's probably tired of seeing his people being murdered here and being killed and mercilessly killed. And he probably wants to put a stop to this. He wants to at least try to prevent these attacks from happening. So I kind of see where he's going with this. But share your thoughts, concerns, and opinions down in the comment section regarding this topic. I'm curious to know what you're thinking. That's going to be it for this update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, I hope y'all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless, and we'll see you in the next one.